Okay, hi everyone, it's Erkan here with Jill Tiny and our extra special, very special guest, Baiju.
I'm going to look at that, the other 9 where he says that at the start of all of them.
Baiju Solanki. Baiju Solanki from...
I want an extra special.
Extra special. We were just kind of getting ready for this podcast and we were kind of reflecting on how our journey started when we first met and how you became part of BeCollaboration. Well, first of all, I want to welcome you to the Journey of Possibility podcast, Baiju Solanki.
Thank you. I'm very honoured to be number 10, the first of the double figures.
And so you should be.
It might be 11. It might be 11.
Scientific proven that you need 9 attempts to get it perfect.
Yes,
so
this will be it.
This is perfection, is it? Okay, it's
it's downhill from here.
It's downhill, yeah. This is a lesson on how not to do these things.
So I have a question.
Yes, 8 out of 10 hungry.
Okay.
By the way, what's the date today?
28th.
July the 28th, and it's
Friday.
2:30 and Baiju's hungry, so we're going to get through this hour very slowly, I think.
It's all right,
as quickly as I can. So, remember back to about 2013, I think it was, beginning 2013, and we met at my offices in Fisherbury House, and we sat around chatting, having conversations about what we should call it, how it's going to work, how much money you could make out of it. Looking back to that time then...
It's got the same questions.
We're just coming back to
all right. Anyway, move on.
Did you anticipate you would be in the space that you are at the moment? Because we've just been discussing this morning how far you've come with EnSpirit Global.
Yeah. No, you always hope, you always think, I'm probably ahead of some places in my life than I was expecting. I'm probably behind other areas of my life and where you are, but you hope you want to be somewhere. But in terms of this is called the journey I've been on is you couldn't predict it.
What did you say the other day in the presentation? You said I'm a 10-year
startup. I'm a 10-year startup. 10 years ago, 2007, I left my corporate to start my coaching and training business, BaijuSolanki.com, and off you go. And there are many mistakes I made in the first 2 or 3 years, because probably my first 2 or 3 years were really just like my naivety got me through.
Yeah.
And
ignorance on fire.
Ignorance on fire, yeah. And you just crack on. And the mistake I made, I thought it was going to be like that all the time. So I didn't invest in the business. I didn't invest in infrastructure and systems. That if I did then. But then, hindsight's the best lesson. You know, I'm doing it.
Most people do that. The first 2 or 3 years.
I've just developed a new online course called How to Benefit from Hindsight. So we're going to launch that.
It'll be ready in the next 10 years.
Yeah, no, it was ready last week.
That's a course we should all do.
It's great.
So we met you all those years ago, and obviously
we met in other domains before.
Yeah.
Because KPI we sort of met and joined, but I met you through other properties I've successfully.
Yeah.
We met through BNI and Cafe Rouge, that meeting. Remember we go there?
No, I'll tell you what.
Less said about all that.
One of our first meetings was a Forever Living event.
Or Andrew Morgan.
Yeah.
Was it? Oh, okay. Yeah. And then with BNI,
and Andrew Morgan
I came as a guest at BNI too. Where was that? That golf course in Chelmsford. I came to one of those.
Oh right.
Well, hold on, before we get there,
when we met
you, you had a restaurant.
No, that was we did. I just had a restaurant. Yeah. Well, that was a punt. That was like, it wasn't a life plan. It was like a conversation like this. Mate of mine said, "Oh, I've got this unit come up. Do you fancy it?" No.
Is it still a restaurant?
Yeah, it's still a restaurant now. Not as good.
That's good. Obviously.
Not as good.
Can't be as good.
And but it was mustard. You two came.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did. I
wanted
the food.
Yeah, wasn't it good? You were astonished how good it was.
It was.
It was wonderful.
Pleasantly surprised.
Do you know what? The waiters were pretty cool as well.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's good. But again, that was one of those things where if someone said to me, at the time when I was doing it, it was a real strain. But I'm glad I've got that part of my portfolio. I'm a restaurant owner. I've done it, been there.
But just to deal with that, it's like, don't you think every opportunity brings experiences? I think there is something about servicing people, managing. I think with restaurant probably as much as any business is you're only as good as your last.
Exactly. And also I was doing that while I was doing my normal business. It wasn't like I stopped my coaching training, did the restaurant and came back to it. It was in parallel.
Yeah.
It is. It's like the restaurant's the ultimate.
And then
social experience.
I kind of remember a real kind of social media push for about 18 months. Was it?
It's still there, and people you just get labelled with it, don't you? Get labelled.
Well, you talked about it for a long time.
I still talk about it in different contexts, but because to get people, for me, it's but the understanding what social media is, and people forget it's got 2 words: social and media. It hasn't got broadcast content.
Broadcast media.
The thing I always remember about you is that you always you're almost like a gadget man. You like, you know, have you seen this app? Have you seen that? Look at this, and you've got to get onto it. And you're just like, oh, flipping it. How many? You were just totally not sucked in. That's the wrong expression. You were totally with everything that new was coming up.
Right,
and it's almost like if I didn't know, I could ask you because you'd have already tried it out and seen if it worked or didn't work.
Yeah, and it's just because it wasn't because I went out looking for it. I just
You were excited.
Is that something that's been part of your life from day one? A natural curiosity, because you didn't.
I'm not a natural entrepreneur.
No,
whatever the natural entrepreneur is, I'm an academic.
Yeah, because you say about the academic past, you was a son of an Indian family, and it was like, what are the four options for an Indian?
Doctor, accountant, engineer, pharmacist, shopkeeper. 5.
Well, restaurants.
Yeah, it's not one of the top 5. It's not one of the top 5.
Top 5.
You know, it's a cop-out restaurant because it's like, well, anybody, you know, cook, you can serve food, you can do that.
Yeah.
So, and I academic by heart. I'm a psychology graduate, master's in sports psychology. I was a psychology lecturer 4 years, and as far as I was concerned, I was just going to teach. I was going to become a sports psychologist, and I did a master's in sports psychology. And I was teaching an FE for 4 years. At the time, my first job was a psychology lecturer at 25, teaching 18-year-old nursery nurses. Right, on one level, heaven.
What could go wrong?
On another level,
Tough job.
nearly hell. Right, but it was great. But then in teaching, like we all know, the higher. The more, the longer you stay in teaching, the less teaching you do, the more promotion you get, and it just becomes administration. And I could see myself. There was one point whereby I had this like chordroid blazer disease coming up. You know,
patches on the end. Yeah, you can't do that.
I went to a shop and I saw one. I thought, no.
I need it.
Yeah. So
how did you end up coming out of that?
Because I wanted to finish my masters. I was finished my masters. I had to finish my dissertation. So I looked at my life. I thought I could leave my teaching job to finish my dissertation. Need 6 months to finish my dissertation, and then I can go to university, do my articles, and become a sports psychologist. So I thought, what's the job? And I was sitting in a cafe. I remember at college. I said, I just need a job that's brain dead, that just will just pay some money, so I don't have to think about it, because then I don't invest in it because I've got my masters. And then someone said, you talk a lot. Why do you go to a sales job? And literally, I live in Southend. I was at a petrol station, and I picked up the Evening Standard, the London Evening Standard, that's not usually there, at the back, and there was a little classified advert, no experience ride, sales, publishing house, blah blah blah. Phoned them up, got an interview, and I have to give 3 months notice. It was May '98, and in teaching you have to give 3 months notice. And I got the job, starting in August '98. So that was great, worked out all right. Started the job. I said, I'm going to be here for 6 months while I finish my masters. Every lunchtime, evenings, I was doing my dissertation. The thing about that sales job, right, there's no sales training, it was like proper old school, here's a list of numbers, ring them up. And what we were selling was marketing packages to universities who wanted to recruit international students. So our target market was academics, deans of faculties, lecturers, marketing managers of things. So I'm talking to a market I know, academia. It wasn't like talking to businesses trying to sell double glazing. Pure fluke, because the advert didn't say anything about that, it just said publishing house. So I used to ring people up. My first gambit was, hi, I'm phoning from so-and-so, I'm not a salesperson, and just started talking about, I'm a psychology lecturer, this is what I do, interested in your courses, what are you ringing for? Well, do you want more international students? Oh yeah, I do. And I used to book meetings up. Now, I had no sales training, nothing, so I didn't know, touching, rapport building, all the rest of it. Just went there, went into the office. My first gambit was, I'm not a salesperson, because I thought, only scummy people do sales, and you don't qualify, because it looks at the office.
That's all you've done ever since, though, isn't it? So,
and the point I'm trying to make is, if for 6 months, or just, you're doing it, and with sales, you don't stay in the job if you're not good.
Yeah.
But they give you at least some grace. For 3-4 months, I had grace, you try and error. And literally, November, I got this deal, and they used to pay by cheque weekly.
Wow.
Now, if you got a deal on order, if you got it on a Monday, Tuesday you put your commission claim in, Friday you get the money.
Wow.
So not on account. And the way they used to handle it in terms of, if that order was cancelled, is they created a 15% cancellation fund. So say you earn £100 commission, £85 be in your pocket on Friday.
Right, and then if
£15 in the cancellation fund. So those bills, that someone does cancel, they don't say, give me the £100 back, they just drip it out of the cancellation fund. Right? So that's how they did it. Because everybody was motivated by money. Yeah. So I got this deal, and on Friday I got this, they give you a check, and you think, I earned more in that 1 week than I did 3 months teaching.
Whoa.
So I'm like,
hang on.
I'm only here for 6 months.
He's not motivated by money at all, is
I'm
he?
only here
The
for
thing is,
thanks
I was
last
6
week.
months. So I thought, you know what? I just stay for. I finished a week later. I handed my dissertation in and have a viva. And when you do a master's, have a viva. What a viva is they interview you on your dissertation project. What that means is making sure that
Somebody else hasn't written it.
that you've done the actual thing. That's a viva, right? So, and they ask you things about how you did the research and your results and your interpretation and whether it's congruent with what's in there. And they can soon tell whether you didn't write this, did you? Right. So that's what the reason you do a viva. So my viva was just before Christmas, and obviously I passed it, and I got my masters. And my plan was to leave after Christmas. But when I got this check, I said, look, I'll stay for another couple of months. You know, it is what it is. Yeah, it's 98. You've got a young family, just had a second child born. You do what you do. And if you ever get pigeons, right? If you feed a pigeon once, right, it will come and feed a pigeon once. If you feed it twice, it'll come back. You don't feed it the third time, it'll still come back. And they treated their staff like pigeons. Oh, you're the head of the UK team. What does that mean? I've got 2 UK guys there. The difference is, what lead you got today? That's my role. You know, there's no extra pay. You're head of UK. What does that mean? Just to find out what they're doing. Oh, all right.
Yeah, John, this is good stuff.
They've got someone to. Oh, okay, great. And then if that deal comes in, you get a little percentage.
Oh, that's all right.
Little override, right? Head of UK, head of Europe, head of America, social director. 9 years I ended up being.
So you're basically pigeon.
So I was like
pigeonholed.
Yeah, because you know, travelled around the world. I've been to 32 states in America. Travelled around the world. The only 2 countries I never went to was China and Australia. Went to South Africa, all around Europe, India,
Did you see anywhere
Singapore.
apart from the hotel and the airport?
Yeah, sometimes you do. New York, America I did a lot. Because what happens was the company was very much, as long as you bring a deal in, as long as on the whiteboard there was a deal, they don't give an arse. So I used to have expenses claims, I don't care. As long as you bring a deal in, they don't question you. Don't bring a deal in? What's this? What's this?
Yeah.
What's that? What's that taxi ride? You know, at 11 o'clock at night, came back at 3. What's that about? Right? And that's all they cared. So we used to go on trips where I had 2 shoe-in, definitely, you know, deal meetings, and pad out the other meetings and spend a week in New York.
Lovely.
So what would you say your biggest takeaway from that? Because that was 9 years, right? Did you say 9 years?
9 years I was there. The thing is, I was hypnotised into tomorrow I'll do the psychology thing. Tomorrow.
Was you selling your dream?
I'm selling that massively. I know that now because I speak to people. And then 2000, I used to remember during the early 2000, Oprah was big, right? And Oprah's main guest was Dr. Phil Gray, the life strategist, right?
Phil.
Used to watch that. I'm going to be Phil Gray,
Hey.
right? So I talked a great game between 2001 and 2006. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that, right? I had all the excuses in the world. 2006, I was in New York, business trip. Right, it's potentially one of the biggest. If this deal closed, it was one of the biggest deals the company's had in its 30-year history. And New York hotel, 2006, and went to the meeting. 45 minutes, I was back. It was done and dusted. Right, it was basically, you know, in my head, you have all the reasons why they've still got to know that, got to clarify that. But went there, right, Baiju, going, yeah, okay, that's good. Right, we've got the finance officer. Here's the purchase order number. I went, oh. Yeah, okay. No, I had all this prep about how to get, you know, we could put that in, incentive, and it was like, no, what you send us over the phone, it's all good. You know, technically I didn't have to go there, know what I know now. Got this deal, and this is when you had to fax orders back, right? And no mobile phone, so I had to go back to the hotel to phone the office. Went back to the hotel, right, Luke, yeah, blah, blah, yeah. Were you back early? What? They cancelled it, they cancelled. I said, no, got it. What? Oh, well, great, yeah, fantastic, right. Take a week off New York, you know, take a week off on the company, happy days. Deal signed, ecstatic. Went to the hotel, ecstatic. Phoned the office, ecstatic. The praise they gave me, ecstatic. Put the phone down, ecstatic. On the bed, 3 seconds, ecstatic.
Yeah, suddenly.
And I'm like, is this it? Is this the best it's going to get after my kid's been born? Is this the best this job is going to get? Because you can't. The next best thing was equity, but then you're definitely tied in. The amount of money I earned in that deal, there was nothing more. And I thought, if this is the only feeling, and I've been kidding myself for 7, 8 years.
Can I break that down? So what it sounds like for me, for a long time you were chasing something, and suddenly you got it.
Well, it got it loads of times, but this was like the ultimate deal.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So you kind of peaked and then went,
is this it? I said, I know I was selling that before, but you think, you know what, one day I can do it. And I wanted to coach, train, but all the reasons why you can't, you're brown, you know, the cloudy.
Yeah. He's brown. We'll adjust the colour, don't worry.
You got a different shirt on today, you know, you smell.
Always a reason.
There's always someone better than you. Who's going to give you, you know, and all those reasons.
What were your main kind of self-defeating reasons?
Self-defeating?
Was it all of those?
Bless you.
No, it's just because you sit there and you think, who's going to listen to me? Right, you've got all these top people, you know, because you compare Tony Robbins, you compare Robin Sharmas, you compare the Dipper Choppers, you don't look at and then you think, oh, they must have some secret sauce. There must be something different, because I haven't got it. So you just believe, and then when I thought, do you know, what is it? Then I started going on workshops and courses, just different, what are people talking about? What are people talking about? And I said, how do I leave? And this one guy said to me, do you know what? And I stripped down, the only reason I wasn't leaving that job is, yes, all those fears, but really it was just finance. You know, I didn't want to jeopardise, you know, the house and all the rest of it. And then someone said to me, look, if you wait till you're financially free, it ain't going to happen. No. You know, wait till you know, so you've got to draw a line somewhere, and there's a throwaway comment, as long as you've got 6 to 12 months put away, if you can't make it work in that time, then you know it's not for you and go back to whatever, or do something different. So I thought, okay, so I worked out what 6 months was worth, I needed, got it, and then I went into property. So I did property. That's why I met you in the circuit. So I went into property, did a course, flipped 3 or 4 properties, bought a couple. October 14th, 2007, handed my notice in. 6 months before that I did Tony Robbins, you know, big Wild Ride UPW with your best man Kolpesh and his gang. That was the straw was
2007.
Yeah, because 2006 I had this meeting.
I was there in 2007.
Yeah, and that one, and that great.
Excel.
Yeah.
Did you not recognise each other?
No, he didn't have the beard.
No, he didn't have the beard.
You were half the man.
But that was an interesting. Who was what?
You were half the man, literally.
Yeah, so it happened.
So that, and what happened up to that point, it was like, yeah, I had to, and Tony Robbins was the final thing. Like, you are in control, and I had the support of my family, and then the rest is history, so to speak, in the context of my coaching.
I'm gonna go back and check the pictures. Did you actually hang out with us lot? Were you in our crew?
No,
was you with us? Because we all had our own team.
No, I wasn't part. Yeah, but I was there. Yeah, no, I wasn't part of that.
That was an interesting time for me because I'd spent quite a few years at Landmark delivering seminars and part of that. And then when I came out in, I think it was 03 or 04, one of the first big events that well, you don't go to me that big, do you? I think it's 12,000 people.
12,000, yeah. And he was building his last London one.
Yeah, it was a big water fight one, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was on stage.
Yeah, so you got up there. Yeah. And it was interesting seeing a completely different style of delivery and the whole group tribal experience and the music and part of me was like a bit cynical about it, but part of me was like enjoying it as well. It's like, oh, I want to have some fun. And the water fight just went off. It was like, it was really interesting.
They have a water fight every time like this. I've been to about 7, 8 now.
I don't know. Yeah. What's the water fight about then?
Oh,
somebody who's never done
at the end of Saturday at the end with Tony Robbins, and he does his big rah, and then he gets a big water gun and just sprays the audience, and then everybody throws the bottles and he just get wet.
Everyone's got a big water fight.
Yeah,
and then there's the firewalk.
Firewalk and end of the day.
Do you need the water after?
Well, this is the first time I've made that. I don't think we've ever discussed that before.
Okay.
So great. So you've been academic. You worked a job for 9 years. Family started coming up when did you first? Yeah, because they were quite old.
Baby, yeah, they're my daughter now. They are. My daughter's 21, son is 19, and the little one's 14. So
this is where we're supposed to say you don't look old enough to have a daughter who's 20.
Say it.
Seriously, say it.
You do actually.
I don't.
You do.
I was mistaken. 33.
Ooh.
10 weeks ago.
Somebody was just being so nice
he wasn't.
to you.
He wasn't. He was like, what?
You short-sighted.
So he was there. He's a bodybuilder. He's like, what? He's joking. So, yeah.
Anyway, we'll move on. Where I remember meeting you is when I was starting to talk about this idea of getting people together and doing BeCollaboration, but obviously
at KPR before that.
We met before that, yeah, because I met Jill around the same time, and I heard about KPI through Jill, but I was already starting to talk about these ideas, and I met you at a Yes group, and I was telling you about this idea of getting people together, but I don't know if I'd met Jill or not at that time. But the thing was, what I remember of you is the next time I remember you was at a KPI brand
accelerator day.
And you'd got up and said something about, I've written this book called I'm an Entrepreneur, Get Me. You had it in your hand. And that would have been what, 2012?
Yeah, because we started KPI September 13, wasn't it? Or April 13.
I don't know. I wasn't there.
No, October 2012 we did KPI.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, because I did Landmark the year after.
So we met in the March.
No, 13. Oh, no.
So all right.
No. September 13 we did KPI. That's the cohort we joined.
What number were you?
No,
Just for any KPIs
we were nine,
out there.
we're
You were
nine.
9.
We were. Oh no, yeah, you were. Oh, no, you were. Yeah, you were
I was
earlier.
at 3,
3, yeah,
yeah.
we were 9.
We were 9.
And Onar and.
Yeah. So, what did you get from writing I'm an entrepreneur, get me out of it? Because somehow you you said you're not an entrepreneur, you weren't an entrepreneur.
Well, in 2010 I was fortunate enough to win Southend Businessman of the Year, right, in my local town.
Because of the coaching?
In my coaching business, but I knew I won it through sheer personality. It wasn't business acumen, it was sheer personality. I'm out there, I was doing. Now I get that.
You're out
the third party looked, and they interviewed you, they looked at your business, so there must have been some.
Yeah.
But so I downplayed it. Since then, a lot of people say, no, you've got to really play on that because you won Businessman of the Year. It was an outside recognition from a big, newspaper, local newspaper, big awards, big, black tie, the worst of it. So to win Businessman of the Year in that year is, of a town that's got whatever it is, population, 500,000, whatever. And the 3 finalists, the other 2 were serious business people. Let's look on their faces. And I went, oh no. Right? What'd you do? Well, kind of, they're boring. But,
and that was what year? 2012?
Yeah. 2010. 2010. I won. So 3 years after I started my business, I won a Businessman of the Year. And then people started saying, wow, you're doing this, you're doing business, you're doing, a lot of my clients were right varied. They started saying, you're an entrepreneur. I feel like it. They look at my bank account, ain't definitely no entrepreneur bank account. What is entrepreneurship? What really is? People saying, what is it? What is it? And I started researching it. So my first part was, I'm going to interview these entrepreneurs, a lot of people that we know, to find out what's the common theme. What's the common thread between these people? Is it that entrepreneurs have this single desire of making lots of money and sob anything else? Is it that they're great at solving problems? Is it that they want to change the world? What's the one thing? And there's lots of element of all those in most entrepreneurs.
It's not usually one thing, is it?
Yeah, it's usually, but there was one thing. There was one thing that had a common thread, because I interviewed men, female, silver spoon, non-silver spoon, academics, non-academics, so all range of people I interviewed for my book. The one common theme was their thought process, the way they thought. The way they thought was different to what I was exposed to during my corporate years and during academia. Academia was very much empirical evidence, teaching facts and figures and then assessing them and process.
Would you argue that's all the left brain?
A little bit of left brain, but I didn't know any different. And I remember I studied all my life, masters, and straight into college. So I didn't know anything else. I thought, people don't work after 3:30. What are you talking about? Right? What's that about? Right? And I don't. Nobody works in August.
But just to get another taste on it, another little way of insight on how it came up. Were your parents academic, or were they like that? No, you've got to go and study.
They're Asian.
No, I understand, but what
academic?
Were they doctors? Or
no, my dad was civil servant. He actually. He was one, you know the story where they come over from Africa. He came over from Africa and he brought the brothers over. He made sure the brothers went through college, so they're engineers, there's doctors, there's accountants for the brothers. And my dad, he had to sacrifice his own education to put the other brother through, and he was a civil servant. My mum was a high-grade Sanskrit, good Indian teacher in India, but she came over married my dad and she worked in factories. But if you look at I'm first generation. Yeah. First generation, because most first generation's parents, they came home and sacrificed their stuff and their core single reason to come to the UK or went to America, better life meant education.
Yeah.
Yes,
right?
but I'm going to say to you, that's what I'm saying. So I think that's a very Indian,
it is very
cultural thing. Whereas in our culture, Turkish or Turkish Cypriot, it's go start a business. It was always entrepreneurial. My dad never said, you've got to go and study, you've got to become a doctor. Never. It was always get your own business, you can do whatever you want after that.
Same as the Jewish community, isn't it?
It was actually playing outside the establishment.
Yeah, the thing is, in Asian culture, it's a status thing as well.
But I think do you think that's a lot to do with the British and the whole British kind of background?
What?
Well, you got the British. India was
empire.
Maybe, and it was
really didn't have that.
Yeah, 100%. If you look at the rise in the British Empire, it's like you were veered value of you're a doctor, or you're an accountant, or you're an engineer. You're a man. You're a status. You're a standing status, accomplishment, values, and it follows on.
But I've met a lot. Obviously being around the world and meeting a lot of people, you do meet your second generation or even first generation accountant, doctor, chemists and all those kind of people. And I don't, and I'm going to sound probably quite trite in some ways, but I don't kind of get they're joyful about what they're doing. Like you meet the Indian accountant.
Doesn't matter. It's not about that.
No, that's what I'm getting at.
Well, the parents wasn't. What do you mean happy? Happy later.
Yeah.
Happy later with £1 million in your bank.
I remember talking to my dad about love. He goes, "What do you think? What's love got to do with being married?" Do you know what I mean? It's like you're watching too many films. You know. But I kind of get that. But in the Indian culture, it wasn't. It was status was more important than money or freedom. But I might in the Turkish culture, it was the money was the freedom.
What you understand is that gives you respect.
Yeah.
Right. And the thing is, a lot of Indian people are very religious as well. So there's an element of how the activity of believing in faith and religion and tradition and doing those things, and then part of that is what are you studying? What is your
would you say that's part of doing your duty in there as well?
Duty is part of duty, but it's part of, why would you, if you've got this chance of being educated and having you can earn your respect through that, what do you mean you want to?
Well, this brings me to a really important point, right? Because you threw all that away.
I didn't throw it away
to become an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I didn't. No, but I get what you're saying. And
because you're saying, actually, I want to. I've just done a great deal. I've been in corporate. I've studied. I'm playing the game.
Yeah, I threw it away.
I'm sitting there going, "This is it."
This is it. It can't be. And people were saying. A lot of people said, "You're mad. I had to support my family, so that's great." And then even now, what do you do?
When you get a proper job,
actually get money from Facebook Live. What do you do? It's like, well,
you got to tell it per click.
Yeah. Right. Actually, how does that work? How can you put a tweet out someone pays?
But what I'm getting at is, there's people going to be watching this and thinking like, they're in a job, they're getting their paycheck, they've gone through a certain. Because I think the other thing with education, it kind of narrows you down, and the further you go, the less movement you got because you become further more specialised, right? And I think for you to the level you did to break out of that and then say I'm going to live my life by design, by passion, by what's important to me. And do you know what I mean? I used to get this. Is like when you do something to make a difference to others, there's always this thing as when you get some clients, or did they pay you for that? And I don't think you get paid for a lot of what you do. Not what you, I mean, and I'll put myself in there, but there's if we look at wannabe, and I've known you long enough, there's loads of things you've done, that the major return isn't income. So there's a big, there's a family, someone who's got a family, what excuses, whether it's your culture, or this is my degrees in this, or there's another element to entrepreneurship, is courage, because at some point you had to hold your breath and go, what do you do? Just front up and go, oh yeah, I just had the biggest check ever, and by the way, I'm resigning.
100%. It's like, I would have been financially free and set up for life if I stayed in my corporate.
Let's sink in for a minute though.
I would be.
Yeah.
But I would have been soulless.
Yeah. And also, how many times have you used your psychology degree? That's where you went to university because you loved that topic, you loved that subject, you knew that it was something that was about you. And the fact you fell into teaching and further education probably wasn't fulfilling you either. So you were still in the back of your mind looking around for something else, and you thought, okay, let's get some cash, maybe that's it. And then when you realised that wasn't the thing, it's like, well, there's got to be
more. And the thing is, and remember, 2001, I was in the second ever coaching cohort. It's when coaching started entering the UK. It was a little bit. Jonathan J did the coaching academy. I was the second ever cohort, so it was quite what's this thing? And when I entered coaching, it was like the first time it was a practical application for everything I knew in psychology. Psychology is very dry. It's a very dry subject, and you've got to prove things beyond the hypothesis. I was quite strong in stats, and everything psychology. If you can't prove beyond the hypothesis or a certain stat, you can't, it's not demonstrated. So that's why you can't prove, smoking causes cancer. You can't prove it. It's a high correlation. There is no statistical evidence that smoking guarantees that you get cancer. It's a high correlation. And psychology with that, it got so dry. And then you think, hang on, and we find coaching, through a conversation, through an insight, through an interpretation, you can move people. You don't need 20 years of therapy. You can have a couple of, and it's like, whoa, the basic grow model, and all these things. And what you find, probably you too as well, is I was doing it anyway, but didn't have a label for it.
Yeah.
And then, it was just 10 years, and like I say, it's a 10-year startup, because where EnSpirit is now, last year and a bit, is starting again. But could I have done that 10 years ago? No, you can't, because I didn't have the infrastructure, the wisdom, the way of thinking, the connections.
Well, you've grown up, as far as the coaching world is concerned. You started in 2007, 10 years later. So you're still kind of like a 19-year-old teenager finding your way, but actually now you've got a better idea in the direction of where you're going.
And it's you get to a point where you start, it's like you start learning who you are and your inhibitions and your traits, your weaknesses. And before, you're scared to show the vulnerability and weaknesses because there's an ego kicking, there's a bravado. Now, if you go there swinging, what on earth? Do one. You have to be vulnerable. You have to show. There's nothing that a lot of you guys don't know about me, and it's not about like a work colleague. You know the work stuff, and you don't know the shadow side. You create the shadow.
We know a bit too much sometimes, don't we?
Yeah, too much. Yeah.
There's still visions going through my mind. I'd like to exorcise.
There's visions in my mind as well.
So can I ask you, when we first met and I started talking about this idea of a community, an idea of getting talent in a room and starting to share ideas, you were along with Jill and a few others at the time, the first people that heard it and went, this sounds really. What did you hear?
I said, that's great. I said, it sounds great. Don't know how it's going to work. How it's going to pay. I said, it was great, but what? Because sometimes you get things that are created and the communities as a consequence of the thing.
Yeah.
You've got KPI, right? We've all been in KPI, so we use that as an example. They're out there to build a community. They've got this product. As a result of the product, a community is created, right? What you're looking to is create a community. And then, a bit like what EnSpirit's doing this, it's like, okay, great, but then what? And then, so many iterations in how you communicate and what it's about. And again, it wasn't a community just for the sake of community. It was the common theme was a way of thinking, a way of looking at the world in a different way, which some people aren't ready for. The world is waking up to a certain thing. The reason Trump is in now, it's a great heuristic of how asleep the world is. Yeah. So that's a great thing why Trump is in, because it shows, whoa, because if he didn't get in, he'll be like, okay, do you know what, it's not so bad.
Yeah.
Him getting in, great, let him do what he do, things will happen within the next couple of years.
I don't know how we went from the early days of BeCollaboration to Trump, but well
done.
The point in
terms of,
but you've been, the reality is you've seen BeCollaboration over the short years, only about 3-4 years really since people started joining, that being September. But the thing is that you have played a part in, this is how I'd sum up. You've grown I think you've grown within the community. You've contributed to the community. You've taken from the community. You've looked out for it. You've criticised it. As a family would, don't we? In a family, you do all of those things.
You challenged us.
And here we are today. Before we had this.
Even today, there's certain things we talked about today. I've challenged you big time about certain things, and I think, we've had standout rows, all of us, right? And the thing is, in any other context, we wouldn't be speaking. We'd hold that, do one. If you can't respect me for that, then I don't want to be around you. But in the context of the conversation, we live and breathe in the ethos of whether it's BeColl or transformational conversation, because it's like, if we talk about landmark advanced course in action in the last 4 years, isn't it? Really, and you have to grow in that environment. You can't not, otherwise you just be. And I think I've been here from the start, and the very fact that I feel safe enough to criticise and knowing you'll take it from the right place, right?
Not always.
Not always, but not always. But it's because otherwise you'll think. Otherwise, you could easily say, "Well, you're being obstinate, or you're being critical, or you just, you don't get us, or we don't want you here." It's not about that. It's about, okay, where's that coming from? And there's certain things we talked about this morning that there's a challenge there, but we'll work it out. Yeah.
Because because we have two main slots within the meetings. There's the Know and Be Known and there's Genius slot. You've delivered both of them. In fact, I think other than me, I think you've delivered, because I collated all the videos last week.
How many have I done?
Well, if I can probably tell you, it's probably about 12. Videos that I've got.
I feel I'm the guy. Like I used to be a part of another networking thing, and they used to have this session called a foresight session. And when they had no one, they called me. So I feel like here that if there's a bit, it is a compliment. No, I do. I do my normal be known section and genius, and the thing that we've got to get. I'll call Baiju. We'll do it. It'll be hopefully it'll be new enough and fresh enough and off the cuff enough that.
But I do kind of look at when was the last time we did it? Or about a year ago. Okay, we can have him in again. Let's put him in and slide him in.
Yeah, I only get Know and Be Knowns once a year in the Genius. But the thing I was going to say about it is you presented on multitude of subjects. I mean, it's like I know you've delivered the same one more than once, right? Which is great. But also you've delivered everything from social media to upper limit what do you call it, upper limit?
The big leap.
Yeah, the big leap. You've done the EnSpirit stuff around the profiling. I mean, just as a testimony to your continued, it's aptly named journey of possibility. It's not like you went right there, I'm done, got the badge, got the t-shirt, stamped the whatever. It's an ongoing growth plan.
Yeah,
so you're sharing.
And the last be known section, when I was thinking about it, I said, do you know what? Yeah, do people think stick to one thing for crying out loud? But it's not. But each part is an evolution of the next. It's not like it's the same thread, but the next stage, an evolution of it. Yeah. And I think Claudia said this once. She goes, I do like it when you present because I know it's going to be something different. It might be the same subject area, but the way you do it, the way it's different. So that was a great compliment from what Claudia said.
So for you to keep relevant and because you can't, I reckon probably 3 of us sitting here could give me a subject and give me 5 minutes and I'll go and deliver it. It's not a problem. So there is a certain level of mastery. But what are your main influences? Where do you go? How do you get your information? You're reading books? Are you going to seminars?
I do a lot of Audible. I read a lot of books. I listen to a lot of books. I'm not a great reader. I watch and look a lot, but I'm also very open. I don't have something that I won't say, well, this works that way. If someone comes to me with a different opinion or different approach, I think, well, no, I've worked this way, it's not that way. I suck in information a lot, but I also suck it in and I try and apply it to my thing, because I'm thinking, I want to be the person that people think, oh, he's always a little bit ahead of the others. So that comes from a bit of an ego thing, a bit of arrogance.
But you're interested as well.
Yeah, but the only way I can be a little bit, if I become interested in other people's stuff and other things, what's going on. So there's a bit of ego, but there's also, I don't want to be the one behind, and EnSpirit.global has to be ahead of the curve. It can't exist if it's not ahead of the curve, because people are looking at EnSpirit as, what direction, where do I go?
Well, but now we've got onto the subject of EnSpirit. Do you want to just outline exactly what EnSpirit is?
So we go back to the conversation about entrepreneurship and what entrepreneurship, and there's a common thought
process. And did you define it in this?
Yeah, so I went back to the original definition.
It's a way of thinking.
Yes, well, the word entrepreneur, the common theme between these entrepreneurs was the thought process, the way they thought. So then I thought, if entrepreneurship is a thought process, why is that way of thinking not available to everybody, not just people who want to start a business? So when you go back to the word entrepreneur, it's a French word that means to undertake. It's an undertaking. So you take something on. So Western society, what do you take on? Or a service or a widget, wrap it around, put a profit on it and sell it. Yep. Right? Fine. Nothing wrong with that. That's really enterprise. The behaviour and the thought process of entrepreneurial, to be enterprising, is to wrap it, profit, margin, sell. But where it gets really sexy is the etymology of the word entrepreneur. It comes from a Sanskrit word, Athena Prina, directly translated means inner motivation. So to be entrepreneur is this inner drive, inner spirit to create and give out. So a question I often ask people is, if entrepreneurship is a thought process, and then if I said to you, you've both got children, and if your child's gone to a new school, and I said there's a teacher there that approaches his teaching in an entrepreneurial manner, what kind of person immediately springs to mind? What would you say?
Sorry, say the question again. I was thinking of my next question to you.
Oh, do it.
People never listen to you. They always think about the next thing they're going to
say. Already, so that's why
if someone's thinking entrepreneurially, if a teacher's thinking entrepreneurially, what kind of person are they?
They're awesome. That's why I think any parent should go into their children's school to find out where that teacher is.
But what kind of teacher would it be?
You ask some questions.
What kind of person?
Badge of the witness.
What kind of? If you know a teacher's entrepreneur in their nature,
do you want to ask the question?
What kind of
Jill's obviously not going to answer.
What kind of characteristics?
Although you heard it earlier on, Jill, you didn't actually listen.
What kind of characteristics?
Well, I think they'd be creative. I think they'd use their resources very an interesting way. I think also they'd probably let the children kind of have a part in. Yeah. They'd just be doing things in the.
Exactly. So you're not saying they're going to teach them business?
No. Not at all.
So if that's the case, why do we still think entrepreneurship is just about business? Yeah. So EnSpirit stands for entrepreneurial spirit. EnSpirit.global is a platform that wants to create a society that thinks entrepreneurially, to allow them to create a life they desire. We do that 3 ways. Inspiring them through great content. So I've got over 40 people, by the time this goes out, hopefully even more people around the world, with Jill's one, contributors are providing content to the platform that gives their take on how they believe the world should operate. Inspire, educate. We've got courses, events, not only our own stuff, but through partners. So BeCollaboration will have a number of courses that we will partner with to deliver. So through education, educating the right things to help people create a life of desire. And the third thing is connection. You know, you can have all the social media, internet thing, without the human touch, nothing happens. Everything's through there. So through connection, through the Global Impact Network, it's creating a series of events where we have game changers and impact makers and thought leaders helping each other make an impact on the world.
How did you first start that ball rolling?
When the book happened,
which one?
that I'm an Entrepreneur, Get Me Out of Here, and
what was the book after that?
Which I'm writing now, 100 More Ways to Make a Game-Changing Impact.
Oh, was there only one book? I thought you did another one.
Yeah, which is this one I'm writing now. Oh, the Oxygen of Freedom.
Oh, right.
That's going to be published end of the year. So I've done one. One's been published.
Oh, right. Sorry.
That's right. And then, so the question was how did it start the ball rolling? Yeah, because when I left my corporate to start my coaching business, I thought that's great. BaijuSolanki.com, coaching, training, free speaking, all the rest of it. And then about 2-3 years ago, it was like, is that it? You know, the excitement of just being BaijuSolankiSpeaker.com, going around the world, doing my own thing.
One-man band.
I just felt, I've got to play a bigger game. Got to play a bigger game. I love the website, Inc.com, Forbes, all the rest of it. So my ambition was to create a platform and an ecosystem, an environment where people like you, other thought leaders, experts, can think, do you know what? I want to create something that impacts society that way. So EnSpirit for me is the kite mark, is the anchor that if you're associated with EnSpirit, it elevates you. That's where EnSpirit is.
So it's a chance for leaders and people creating content and wanting to make a splash to get an audience. Yeah. But also from the point of view of the, we used the word punter once, I think we talked about the punter, but basically somebody would be interested in EnSpirit. They've got a portal where they can find all sorts of very different information.
Be challenged, and also it's you know, there is a vast amount of information on the internet. There's so many great sites. I want EnSpirit to be one of the players where, that's one of the, you know, if you think of Forbes, you go to Forbes because it's credibility, it's great, Inc.com, HuffPost. You look at EnSpirit, it's that kind of nature. So if you're watching this and you think, do you know, I want to be part of it, come talk to me. You've an investment.
Especially for that, yeah. So at what point, when you were BaijuSolanki.com and then you'd kind of dipped into the KPI world and you dipped into the BeCollaboration world and you'd done Want to Be an Entrepreneur.
We haven't discussed Want to Be.
Yeah, we haven't even got to Want to Be. Yeah. But I was just wondering, at what point when EnSpirit was coming together, did you have that sort of penny dropping moment where you go, I'm a square peg in a square hole, this is what my life is about, this is what I meant.
To answer that is when the website went live, because it's all of a sudden it's tangible. It's like, you know, you've got a course, if you create a brochure, it becomes live, even though there might be a product when it comes live. But it's as you were saying that, it's like, you know, the boiling the frog thing. You know, if you just turn the heat up, you never know and realise, and it's dead at the end, or you know, it's sizzled. It feels like that. It's been sizzling, and it's not been one point whereby it's like unknown. It's just crept up on me. Yeah. And then now I'm finding when I'm out there and you're doing your thing, you're speaking, you're talking, and people, we're EnSpirit. We heard about EnSpirit. People are now talking about it outside of Baiju. Yeah, it's becoming a life of its own. It's only just starting, but you know, it will get there. And with the amount of sort of activity we're going to be doing, and
who else works closely with you? Is you?
There's a lot of people, you know, from the community. Sarah Wilburns, got the community. Got a few guys. Tim Johnson. We've got Penny Reason. There's a few, and loads of other associates around that as well.
I don't mean associates. I don't mean people that are kind of contributing to the project right now. I mean, like, obviously, have you built? Because we talked about the profile. Well, I think we're going to talk about the GI profile as well. But there's like this positioning people around you that do very valuable things that forward the project. Otherwise, it becomes quite exhausting. You try to do things you're not very good at or don't really want to be doing, and that doesn't last too long either, does it? So how have you been mindful about getting?
You know, the first heuristic is choosing people with the same values, aligned values. You know, we talked about
values first.
Values first, aligned. You know, people. I was speaking to I was doing an interview this week, and what collaboration is. The three things need to be present. One, you've got to have aligned values, because the values aren't aligned, and it's just about something to make profit or a function. That doesn't last long. You've got to have a common mission, and you've got to go with that ego. So, for example, I've got 40 odd contributors on my platform. If I don't make them look good, the platform doesn't work. I want them to start. Now, I have to be egoless. I'm not the star of the show. I'm just purely the facilitator.
Like a catalyst.
I'm the catalyst. I'm the facilitator.
But the same with Want to Be, you were the catalyst as well.
Yeah, Want to Be an Entrepreneur was a catalyst. It was a landmark project, and it was all about creating something that exposed young adults to this way of thinking. You do big collaboration meetings, you know, we were talking earlier, if you get someone just from the street to come into a meeting, if they've not been exposed to this kind of environment, it can be too overwhelming. It's a different way of thinking, it's a different way of... the way I look at it is, it's a thinking that requires complete responsibility on your own part, because conventional thinking and world allows you to have an excuse outside of you for you not to have the life you want. Whereas when you're in this sort of BeCollaboration landmark personal development, the language is such that you have to step up. You have to step up, and you can't. There's no room for outside things to influence how great your life is, and that's the difference.
Go back to wannabe as well, just for a second. So wannabe is
wannabe. So is it wannabe an entrepreneur? Wannabe is an event.
So it's an event
for young
adults starting their lives
to just get them to think in a different way. To basically.
But I think the challenge or the observation I want to make, not challenge, the challenge with it. There is loads of challenges with it, but the observation I'm making is almost like everything you're telling them in that room, and the people that are coming and telling them, not just you, because it's not you telling them, it's mainly the speakers, goes almost contrary to probably everything they're being told at school.
Of course it is. Of course it is. Now schools love it from the point of view of because we can try and use that thinking in terms of getting them past the exam or going to university. But some kids thinking, you know, yes, education is important. It's good to have a thing, but that's not the be all and end all. It's another part of your toolkit. You know, sometimes education is great. Is what they're sold is unless you have these things, your life will be rubbish.
That's all part of that control.
As opposed to saying is, well, you know, life is like this. If you want to be a doctor, if you want to be an engineer, if you want to be a high-end accountant, of course, I don't want no doctor, ain't going to medical school.
No, exactly.
Right? You go to medical school. Yeah. You do your rotations. Right? Ain't having a doctor's done like a certificate in master practitioner over the weekend. However, if you want to be a marketer, go work in a company, right? And do the thing.
How willing are you to challenge our societal systems and processes?
Yes.
Are you really
completely?
Are you?
Yes.
Are you?
Completely.
What are you saying? Yes. It's the other way.
My kid. Are you really?
Yeah, well, I'm
calling you out.
I'm living proof. My kids ain't going. My kids are Asian. They're going uni. They're giving them permission.
That's because you bailed out, mate.
And them giving them permission. No, they don't have to give them permission. No, they were going to do it anyway. Yeah. But now they don't feel. The difference is they're not going to uni. They're doing jobs that, on the surface, you think, "Oh, that's a dead end job," but it's a part of their growth. The difference is they don't feel every day Dad's going to say, "So come on, what's going on? See, it's rubbish, this job, go and get a uni." Right, they haven't got that in their area. They've got that. Their pressure is the pressure they put on themselves about what they want to achieve.
What do they want to achieve? What they
don't know. And why? Did you know? I didn't know. I don't know last week, for crying out loud, right?
No, hold on. So are you saying that part of it is them working out what they want?
Yeah, also, if they do know, great. But you're 21 and 19-year-old, you're saying, what do you want to do for the next 70 years?
That's ridiculous.
Have a word. I'm like...
But don't you think the whole conditioning of school is trying to get them to go? Of course,
but also the Asian thing about because if you get that, then you can get married, then you get a mortgage, and the rest of it. There's a linear thing there because there's proof
that survival.
Survival again. If you go to that way of thinking of BeCo and landmark and personal development, you can use that word. Survival in the layman's term is non-security, whereas in this world, non-security is a good thing, right? Risk, calculated risk. Whereas in the conventional world, security means safe, doing what you need to do, pack your foundation, and then from that take safe. But then you don't live. You look at kids; they just live in the moment. We don't live in the moment. We just live in rubbish. I lost my train of thought. But the point is, it's what does survival mean? You look at animal instinct, it's fight or flight, right? We are living in a society, you don't have to. You've got the resources, you've got the connections, you've got the opportunity, and your mind is stopping you. Because society says this is the way you do it. And it's by design, we know this. If everybody in the world followed their dreams, we'd be knackered. To a certain extent.
Sweep the roads and all that stuff. Well, you get machines to do it now.
Exactly. But then, but if we can make...
So what do you say in a typical conversation with your kids, what are you telling them? Because they've all been part of wannabe. What time you coming home?
I like the fact that you're letting them find out for themselves. That's the whole point.
you know, and the thing is, you could say...
Do they resist their dad because it's their dad saying this stuff? Or do they go... Because I imagine...
Partly, yes.
It's hard
in terms of this, but what they don't realise, appreciate, because they've never had it, is you've got to go studying. You've got to go to college now. Right, I've given you 6 months, you screwed around, now go to college. You know, my dad comes around eating in between... So, what you doing? Are you studying? What are you doing? Yeah, and all that. But they haven't got that 24/7. Whereas when I was growing up, they didn't do it from a. They did it to look after. That's all they knew.
That's all they know. Yeah,
have you done your homework?
Yeah.
Have you done your homework? Have you eaten?
Do you know, my kids ask me homework, and I
have you done your homework?
You don't do it.
Have you eaten? Have you done your homework?
Are you going out?
Have you eaten? Have you done your homework? Have you done your homework? Have you eaten? Have you eaten? Have you done your homework? That was a conversation 7 days a week.
Yeah.
That's what you grew up with. My days, they come into the shop on Saturday.
It was Nirvana.
It was
Nirvana if I was eating while doing my homework.
Oh, wow. See, I didn't get that when I was a kid. Isn't that funny?
Getting brown.
No, but...
Her name's Brown.
Hey!
But
no, it's not.
I was never pushed at school. I was not pushed at school. I wasn't pushed at home. It was just like... I think so long as they thought I was keeping my nose clean and getting on with it.
What you got to say, the context is that I didn't have upbringing was great. It was there was no, I didn't have this thing where by the way I was beaten up or had this big trauma. It was a great 2.4 fat growing up, fairly stable, all good, no airs, nothing. So I didn't know any different. Apart from when I failed my A levels, it was go through clearing. Didn't want to do A levels again. It wasn't like. We've got rubbish A levels. There's no point taking any course when you get no. This wasn't an option. It's like if you're a vegetarian, it's not an option to eat meat. It's not an option. I'm not a vegetarian.
Any regrets?
Oh,
yeah, one.
Just the one?
Two regrets. Is that I didn't leave sooner my corporate job. Right?
When should you have left?
Well, 1 year before, 2 years before, 10 years before, but then it'd be a different journey. It'd be different people.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. It is sliding doors.
So you regret that?
If there's a regret, if you have a regret, but then I might not be where I am now if I did. And 3 years ago, something happened in personally that I didn't do and I wish I did. But that's the way it is.
You didn't do that you wish you did. So I'm not saying you did do that you shouldn't have done. It's something you should have done, you didn't do.
Yeah.
Do you know what? If there's no regrets in your life, then you've not been doing enough stuff. It's like people that don't never try and never fail. They've got nothing to regret. But then you should have regrets. Seeing the journey of BeCollaboration and seeing how it's changed and been there from foreplay, as you tell us. What, in your opinion, is your gut reaction to what BeCollaboration has done for you?
It's three things. One, it's kept me. It's kept me to a standard, stepping up. Don't compromise. Don't. When I've had my days, right? Okay, hang on. It's about this. So it kept me to a standard. Second thing, exposure to a community. Community that maybe some of the people I would have been in contact anyway, and others not. Yeah. So it's that exposure. A bit like when you came to my event. There's some people you already knew, but some people you didn't. And third thing, that you stick at it. It's possible. It might not become as quickly as it is, and it hasn't come as quickly. It might not take time, but you've got to stick at it. Yeah. So it's like, in my journey as well, it's like it's just part of the infrastructure. And I come to the meetings, and I don't come there. It'd be easy if I only came to the meetings when I was presenting, right? It'd be the easiest thing because I'd still be fine. But I don't. I do come because it's just an anchor. It's an anchor for me. Come there, listen to other people, meet John. And it is what it is. It's part of the thing. So. They're the three things: keep you up to a standard, meet new people, different people. Not just different people; it's people that, by definition, because they buy into the BeColl philosophy, have a certain way of thinking. So, the single biggest thing when you leave corporate and you go into your own job is most of the people you hang around with in your corporate life and also in the family and friends. There's a justification of your life. You have to justify what you're doing. When you leave and you start your own thing, if you have that community around you, you're constantly justifying. So you have to find a new group of people who get you. Oh, I know why you left and left, your millions. They get it. They don't say, well, you're mad, what are you staying over 10 years, retired, off you go. So I met this one civil servant, right? Civil servant, whatever, it's 80, 90 grand a year, final year pension, went up to 24, 25, 25. And he said to me, he goes, you know what, I've got 7 years left.
It's not doing time.
He goes, I don't want to, if I have 7 years, I'll have a final year. It was like, whatever age he was, like 4 or 5 years ago as well. I've got 7 years. 7 years, then I've got a final salary pension. His final salary must be about 30k or whatever, 40k, because then I'm fine. Because if I leave now, I'll lose that. I take a risk. What's the point? So they tie you in.
Yeah.
And he told me about how the things that he would have done, but he got into the civil service, and before you know it, you think, well,
you do have to be brave to walk away, don't you?
Of course you do, yeah. But then,
what do you still go to bed worrying about? What do you wake up thinking about?
Not when the big time's going to happen, but when, you know, like you say, we're not rewarded for what we think. And there's probably, I'm sure there's people watching this. Well, you haven't got the right systems in place. You haven't done the right marketing. You haven't done this, and you're only the value. I
can hear myself saying that.
You're the only value. No, I get all that. I get all that, right? And it's probably 90% true. But yeah, it's like it's. I feel I'm ready now. Right, for the big time, not in terms of if someone said to me, you've had all the money in the world where you didn't have to ever work again, what would you be doing? Exactly what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
Which isn't that the...
That's the thing.
But
it would be accelerate. It'd be accelerate. It's like having a car that you're constantly on the quarter tank. Right, you can only go so far, then you have to stop and fill up.
But the other thing,
but you only got enough to fill up a quarter tank, and you want a full tank. That's where we're at.
Yeah. But the other thing with that is obviously if you mature your organisation or your enterprise, whatever you want to call it, to a certain level, then it's about the impact. Because at the minute you're doing Wannabe once a year and impacting 200 kids. Fantastic, awesome, but it's nowhere anywhere near what you want to deliver, is it? I mean, imagine we did Wannabe across the country, you did 40 of them a year.
Yeah, exactly. And EnSpirit's that platform that's going to give me that vehicle.
Yeah.
What's your ambitions then?
That would be a global platform that will impact all societies around the world to think entrepreneurially, to create a life they desire through inspiring for great content, through what I'll be doing. I'll be the flagship for it. I want to speak around the world. I am speaking a few places, and I'm going to influence people. But EnSpirit might be the legacy. I thought, wow, and that will, you know. So when I die, Baiju Solanki will end.com, and that was it. But this one,
EnSpirit will go on.
Yeah.
Oh, inshallah.
Namaste.
Namaste. Okay, so before we I don't know how long we've been going. Have we been going long enough yet? I don't know.
I didn't understand.
I got caught up in that conversation. I really appreciate it. Any BeCall news, Jill? Other than no meetings in August. So.
I said that without moving
But
my lips.
isn't this time sensitive? So this might be seen in 3 months' time.
It could be. Well, we've already said it's the 28th of July 2017.
Okay. It's dated on the YouTube channel. But, I mean, but there's no meetings in August. Why?
So if you're watching this next September,
there's still no meetings in August.
Yeah. There'll be a Wannabe.
Or December,
what have we got coming up? Nothing, just meetings in September.
Well, we've got a lot in at the end of the year. So if book your September space for London. I think it's the 25th of September, but check it out. It's the 4th Tuesday of the month in September because we have open space. So Colin Newlin and Mark Neild are orchestrating this open space in order for collaborators to come forward and guests as well to pitch an idea that they want to create a project or put some people together to formulate ideas and move something forward. So the idea being at the end of the afternoon, and it's going to be the 3 till 6 slot, there will be 3, 4, 5, 6 different projects that we can focus on and get around and support to come into fruition within 3 to 6 months. So that's really important. October, if you want to go that far ahead, is going to be the book launch of BeCollaboration. So book your seats for that.
Stop fidgeting.
You can't help it. And obviously in November it's going to be out.
Well, hold on. The book launch. Do we have a name for the book yet? Or are we still in?
No, I think we did.
Isn't it 1 foot out of the garage?
No,
that was the working title.
What is the title now?
I was finding it. It rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? I can't even remember it. What did we say? Humanity at its best. From fear, scarcity and competition to love, connection and abundance. You heard it here first.
And that may not be the title in the end. So we've got that, and then November meeting.
End of year celebrations.
End of year celebrations in November.
Plus, obviously, everything that's going on in Essex, Hertford and Surrey.
And be inspired in October 21st, which is a Saturday. So, What's your summer looking like, Baiju? You off on holiday? You going to the Bahamas?
A bit of a holiday wedding holiday in Norway, but that should be good.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
but I'll be doing. Yeah, thing is, right, August is always usually off for me because of I still got this academic year in my head. But you know, you just do what you do. I don't work anymore. I just do what I love and.
Just do what I love.
Yeah, so lots
Sometimes
of things.
you pay for it,
Lots
yeah.
of sometimes. Yeah, lots of things happening over the next 6 months to a year. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Great. Thank you for this. Thank you for the opportunity.
Oh,
Lovely to have you.
man, it's a
Sorry I missed you here.
total pleasure. Sorry, I'm glad you're the first one in the double numbers.
That's it. I was here.
It's nice to be a first.
I think you might be 11 or 12, I'm not sure.
23. So on that
I was
note,
the first original. Proper collaborator. I don't know. You said that
You're
before.
founding.
I think so, yeah.
You're founding.
Yeah, you were
You're
at the beginning.
I said to Jill today, before it was clear, I said, do you know what, he's my favourite collaborator. I didn't say I like him.
Why my favourite? Why my favourite?
Is it?
Because, well, just because you
Good
turn up,
challenge.
you contribute,
A
you
challenge.
take, you give, you challenge, you know, I think, sum up, you care. And
And we love you.
personality goes a long way, as they say.
You don't all the time.
No, I love you. I don't always like you, but I love you all
No,
the
no,
time.
I didn't say we like you.
A lot of people have been saying that to me.
No, it's not about like. It's about. Well, anyway, listen. Thank you, Baiju. Really,
Cheers.
thank you for coming on. Fantastic.
Mwah.
Great. Double.
Oh,
I think you're the
lovely.
first time we've ever kissed a guest. What's going on here, Jill? And on that
I told
note,
you I love him.
See ya. Bye bye.
Bye.